Welcome back to the Storm Report. I am Matt Shellenberger, joined by head football coach Mike Cochran. Coach, coming off a game to East Central in which you lost 46-14. But can you talk a little bit about that game and some of the positives and negatives?
Right. Well, I think it's really a tale of two halves. We played excellent in the second half. We won that half. We outscored them and played very good defense. The first half, it kind of got away from us, late in the second quarter. And, I think that any football game, it kind of comes down to 4 or 5 plays, and really those were in the latter half of the second quarter with some turnovers and some quick scores against our defense. I'm really proud of how the guys played in the second half. They made up their minds that they were going to come out and play better, and they did. We really didn't call anything different, didn't run anything different, and so they did a great job. In that second half. A couple other things I think were key is we ran the ball really well against a defense that has been solid against the run. And we stopped the run, something that we've struggled with this season. And, overall we ran the ball for 175 yards before you take out, the yardage for sacks and so forth. And we had 3 big drives where we started deep in our own territory. One of them was inside the 5, where we drove the ball all the way down. 2 of those we scored on. The other one we fumbled going in to score at about the 2-yard line. And to do that against a defense with guys as big up front as they have, to me is something we can build on. And to shut down a team's run when the primary part of their offense is running the football is a very positive note. It was also a tale of third downs, or third down conversions. They converted in the first half almost all of their third downs. Second half, we held them to minimal third down conversions, whereas we couldn't string together enough third down conversions. We didn't have very many 3 and outs, but we would cross the 50 and wouldn't convert to end up putting points on the board in a few of those drives. So we really got to do a whole lot better on both sides of the football on third down.
Coach, speaking of running the ball, Brian Yenner had 120 yards on 28 carries. Were you satisfied with his play in his first start?
Yeah, I'm really proud of Brian. He's a little bit of a throwback player, and that he gets those tough yards by keeping his legs moving with a low pad level. He's the kind of guy that I don't think teams like to tackle. He's not. He's just an average size back, but he plays a whole lot bigger than he is. And he's also the kind of guy that his teammates will really rally around. He's just a great teammate.
Coach, talk a little bit about penalties, 9 for 101, and then also Dylan Terry was sacked 6 times. So you'd had success moving the ball, and then all of a sudden you'd have a penalty or a sack. How much can that affect the game and the momentum of the offense?
Well, that's something we talk about all the time. We are at our best when we don't have those negative plays offensively. And once we get that first down, we're very difficult to stop, and we get teams on their heels. What happened Saturday on a few occasions is we would cross the 50 and a couple times cross the 30 going into score, and we would give up a sack or have a holding penalty that now put us in a difficult position where the defense it made us one-dimensional in those long yardage downs, and we did struggle protecting the quarterback. And so, that's something that we've got to do better at, and it really comes down to, technique up front. We're trying to get the ball out quick on some of those, but the pressure's just there too quick.
On the defensive side of the ball, Michael Hicks had 10 tackles. Josh Price had 9. Looks like those two guys were pretty much everywhere the other day.
Yeah, and it was definitely their kind of game because East Central liked to run the football. They're both very good players in the run game, very physical, play downhill.
Coach, you played a couple games on the road. Now you get to come back home in front of the home fans. How does that help the morale of your team?
Oh, it helps a lot. You do get kind of bus weary. We've had 2 trips that were 7-hour plus during our, when we've traveled this year, and East Central was a little bit closer, but you put in a lot of miles, and it makes for the guys, when they're trying to balance school and athletics, a pretty long weekend when you have to leave early afternoon Friday and you don't get back home until early morning on Sunday.
All right, we'll take a quick break and we will talk about the Southeastern State game.
Rowing to victory requires expertise, accountability, and most of all, teamwork. That's why Kate has Tinker Federal Credit Union right there in the boat with her, helping ensure she crosses each financial finish line in first place, so she can focus on what's important. Getting a little more bling. TFCU. We get it.
Welcome back to the Storm Report. I'm Matt Shellenberger, joined by head football coach Mike Cochran. Coach, you return home and just talked about it a little bit. Southeastern State this Saturday. What kind of challenges are they going to present?
Well, first of all, offensively, they've got 3 top-notch running backs, and so we've got to be very disciplined in the running game. And they've got a very nice slot receiver, and their quarterback is a very good quarterback. So they're very productive offensively. They've put up some points against some of the better teams in the conference. So we'll have our hands full defensively, but we've got to be disciplined, with our gaps and certainly good tacklers to slow them down. Defensively, they're a pretty complex defense. They show lots of different looks. They get to different looks with the same personnel, it also appears that their game plan changes from week to week, so you never know quite what to expect. They've got a defensive lineman, number 93, who is one of the best interior defensive linemen that we've seen this year. And so we'll definitely have to do a good job on him because he can really disrupt things in the backfield.
When you go against a defensive lineman like that, obviously one of the things you want to do is run the ball. How do you prepare for a defensive lineman like that? Do you double him, or do you call different types of formations to maybe chip him with a fullback? What do you do against that?
Right. We've got a good game plan against them, and obviously depending on what you run, there's always opportunities to double interior defensive lineman, and it's difficult to chip an interior defensive lineman. A little bit easier to chip a guy on the edge, but that's always something that is part of our pass protection.
Coach, I want to talk about their running backs just a little bit. You mentioned they have 3 of them. 2 of them, Devian Wortham has 81 attempts for 527 yards, and Ladarius Adams has 55 attempts for 244 yards. How do you prepare for so many different backs?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the same scheme, and it really doesn't matter who's in there. You got to be gap sound, and you have to be good tacklers, no matter which one it is.
Coach, Nick Season, the quarterback, he's thrown for 1,540 yards, and he's thrown for 11 touchdowns. And then, so we talked about their running game and their passing game. Are they pretty balanced, or do they like to do one thing more than the other?
They're balanced overall. When you look at the big picture, they can throw it well enough to maintain balance, and that is partially game to game and how you're aligning. But they want to achieve balance. You can tell that.
They average 350 yards a game through the air, on the ground, and then obviously, what are some of the keys for you guys to get a victory on Saturday?
Well, again, we've got to play good run defense, put them in more difficult third down situations, and then get third down stops. And offensively, we've got to convert third downs. That's where we struggled the past couple of weeks on both sides of the ball. And so if we can get stops on third down and keep the chains moving on offense, that will set us up for success.
All right, Coach, thank you very much for joining us. Join us next week as we recap the Southeastern game and we look ahead to the Southern Arkansas game. Up next, we'll have head volleyball coach Kevin Ingram.
Being a front woman takes confidence, dedication, and more than a pinch of swagger. Lucky for Kim, she has Tinker Federal Credit Union on rhythm guitar. And with our mobile app helping keep her checking account in tune, she can focus on what's important. Nailing that next solo. TFCU. We get it.
Welcome back to the Storm Report. I am Matt Shellenberger, joined by head volleyball coach Kevin Ingram. Coach, you're 12-6 so far this season, 5-0 in the conference. So far, how pleased are you with the play so far?
Real pleased. Had kind of a rocky start this year with our first tournament, but I was just trying to figure out what lineup we wanted to use and exactly where we were going to play everybody. But as we've gotten into the season, we've really done a great job of just continuing to build each and every week, continuing to get better in some fundamental areas, as well as just some of those technical areas too, with what our offense and defense is doing, what we're trying to do in each of those games. And probably the biggest thing this year for us too is just the amount of time that we're spending game planning from team to team. And my assistant Kyle has done a great job with preparing the girls every week with who we're getting ready to play and what they're going to look like, those kinds of things. So great start though.
Coach, you have 147 blocks compared to your opponent's 84. What is it that's allowing you guys to get so many blocks?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is just athletic kids. It's not that we're huge. We're good size, there's no doubt, but just the athleticism of some of our, especially our two middle blockers, they're extremely athletic. They both jump really, really well. But also just the time and the effort, and just that's what some of the things we're focused on is defense this year. Our offense will come out of our defense. In fact, our offense isn't as strong right now as it will be hopefully by the end of the season, just because we've spent so much time really focusing on what we want our defense to look like, and blocking's a big part of that.
Coach, Jamie Hope, 157 kills, Taylor Jacobs, 266, Kaylee Pyatt, 601 assists. First of all, how nice is it to have Taylor Jacobs and Kaylee Pyatt both back? And then secondly, Jamie Hope's improved a lot from this year to last season.
Yeah. Well, it's great to have those two back that we redshirted last year, and we knew what kind of contribution those two were going to make, but it's definitely nice to have those two with the skill sets that they have back on the floor. They both bring a lot of different elements to our floor. Once again, there's two athletic kids that are extremely talented too, and so it's nice to have them back, and what they're doing. We kind of expected that, and that's. But at the same time, it's always nice to see those things too each and every day as they step on the floor. Jamie's been huge this year. We had no idea she was going to be as good as what she is right now, and that's not saying that we didn't have that expectation. Mm-hmm. We knew it was there, but to actually, for her in her senior year, everything to start coming together is just awesome to see. She's worked extremely hard. Her attitude, her effort, all those things have been phenomenal all season. Even the days that may be an average day to her, she's still pretty dang good right now, and that's fun to watch, and I'm excited for her and that she's going to go out on a great note.
Coach, the other day you played a tough game at home, lost to Midwestern State, went 5 sets though. Overall, it was a great match. You played pretty well though. What were some of the things that you just couldn't quite get over the hump the other day?
Well, just a little inconsistency. Defensively, you look at the stat sheet, 20 some odd blocks as a team, huge numbers against a team that hits the ball extremely hard and very well. But defensively dug 100 and some odd balls as well. So the defensive part's there. Like I said, the part that's not quite there where we want it to be yet is our offense, and that's transitioning out of our defense. And so those are the things that I still think, I mean, yes, we're doing some good things right now, but we still got a lot of room to grow, and hopefully we'll peak at the right time there towards the end of the season, and that's kind of what we're looking towards. We're on the defensive side first, and now that that's going really, really well, we're now in practices we're more focused on what we're trying to do offensively out of our defense and that kind of thing. So those things are all going to come together at the right time. I have a firm belief in that. But that match against Midwestern State, a good match in the sense of getting us prepared for teams that we're going to play that are going to be comparable to that, that hit the ball really hard, that have more than just one or two players you're focusing on. So that was a great match, and those are the kind of matches we need to play as we continue to get towards the regionals and hopefully the national tournaments at the end of the year.
You talked about the slow start just a little bit. You picked things up a lot. You started out 5-0 in the conference. What's allowed you guys to start out so hot in the conference?
Well, I just think it's more than anything, it's just our preparation and how we've kind of gone through the process. One of the things we talked about our girls the very first week of preseason this year was trust the process. It's not always going to seem like you're not always going to get that win exactly when you want or play the best ball exactly when you want, you know, but you have to trust the process. And part of that process too is trusting that our bench is now becoming a player in what we're doing, not just in what they do day to day in practice, but also how those girls, when one or two players has a bad moment here or there, it's in their head. Us being able to trust our bench, and we are getting to that point where our bench we trust a lot now, and starting to throw those girls in there when we get in those tight moments. So that process, I think, is the biggest part of what we're doing, and the girls knowing that it is a process, and we're not trying to get. Yeah, we want to play that best ball right now, but at the same time, it's okay that we're not. We're still finding ways to win when we have a player or two having a bad night, when just things aren't going our way, but still just finding a way just to fight and get through each individual match. So, and that shows a lot for them, just as the type of players they are, the type of girls that they are.
I'll leave you with this, Coach. You're about to head on the road, Texas Wesleyan and Southwestern Assemblies of God. How do you prepare for that road stretch?
Well, these are non-conference games for us, so just continuing to prepare just like we do each and every day, getting the information we can on other teams, knowing who their primary hitters are, knowing who defensively is really strong for them, and then trying to work against that in the sense of accounting for who they like to go to, and then also knowing where they typically dig the ball really well and trying to go to other spots. There's a lot of different things we look at, and watching film and looking at statistics, those kinds of things, but just continuing to prepare just like we always have, and then also continuing to work hard in practice and get ourselves ready each and every day. So it's a good stretch for us because it kind of gives us a breather from conference. It allows us to kind of work on some things a little bit at the same time without the pressure of, okay, we're 5-0 in conference and we want to continue that streak. So these are some off games, but some games we take very seriously in the sense that they're games we want to win.
Coach, thank you very much for joining us.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us on the Storm Report.